If you're a female and you have a negative outlook towards men, I have a story. And it has to revolve around men and having a horrible outlook on them. Now, I'm 31 now, so this is after a lot of experiences that have led me to the conclusion in which I want to talk about. First off, I just want to say I know what it's like to be mentally, physically, emotionally taken advantage of. I know what it's like to get arrested because of a man or a young man at the time. I know what it's like to get Baker acted because of one. And I know what it's like to put a restraining order on one. I've been through my fair share to have and to know and to understand exactly why you would think and feel the way you might think and feel right now. It all started for me, that is, in my story. This might be, different for you as to what led you down that path, that mindset. For me, it started as a youngin'. Eventually, teenager. I didn't realize at the time, but now, like I said, all these years later, I realize it all started with daddy girl issues, I am that exact definition of daddy girl problems. And at where I'm at now, I understand things from a whole different perspective when it comes to my own father. And if I consider what he's been through, it becomes better to understand why things were the way they were. But of course, at the time when I was going through all these things, I didn't understand. I didn't know what was going on. I was just a young girl that had a void inside of her when it come to the love that I needed, or I was looking for, hoping for, expecting, whatever word it is you want to use, an expectation, whatever it is that you want to say that put me in this situation when it comes to daddy girl issues. And so therefore I ended up going down paths looking for that empty piece, like inside of me, which led me down a not so healthy path of knowing how to choose them. And when you have a good heart and you see like the best in people or potential and all the above, you can really give them the benefit of the doubt and give yourself the short end of the stick. And that was on repeat for me, in my dating life years and years ago. And it put me down that path of ending up in bad situations when it comes to the opposite sex. And after going through so much, like from the restraining order and everything I had mentioned, there was so much pain inside me. Like the last relationship that I had stayed in and kept giving, the person the benefit of the doubt, was manipulating me, which I didn't realize at the time, But after that relationship, and I was just, even a little bit prior to that relationship, I had a certain aspect mentality, but like that just put the cherry on top of the cake after that one. And by the time that relationship was all said and done, I was 21. So that was 10 years ago from now. But the relationship started over 10 years ago. And this is how dumb I was, like this is how messed up my mind was. Like this is how much I did not respect or love myself. I still went back to him after the BS he put me through because like I told you, it was like I was underneath a freaking spell. Like I was just like blind. Because I was just so hurt and lost. And then I also found myself in the situation where it was like, okay, is this situation better that I'm going back to that I dealt with growing up? Or is this situation better because I don't want to go? It was like a balancing game as to, okay, which situation would I rather put up with, even though they're both toxic and they're not healthy for me? But the options were like slim to none. So, I just kept finding myself in predicaments. And before you know it, I just had enough. To the point where the next serious relationship after this one was, like 5 years later. And it was a female. And I fell in love with her. And we got engaged. Had a house. All the things. But prior to that, it wasn't my first relationship with a female. That started at younger age. My teenage years. Like 15, 16 was probably the first one. I was always like tomboyish, growing up. I always thought females were beautiful. I always thought they were sexy. I always hung out with the guys more than I did with the females, so I always had a more prevalent masculine side. And I was a ball player. And of course, the way I was raised, it was tough love, strong, independent, like being raised to be like that. And so the feminine side of mine was always more in the shadows, was always more buried, and it was always survival mode, I guess. But then confused with society, trying to follow society and all the things. But what I'm getting at is I understand exactly why you would have a horrible outlook on the opposite sex. And I just wanted to give you some examples and pieces of what I've experienced to now have the outlook and the perspective I have. And that outlook and perspective is, I didn't love myself. I was the problem. I mean, what did I just tell you? I literally just explained to you without physically saying it that I was looking outside of myself to find the love that I needed or was looking for, or, like looking outside of myself for that thing, I guess, that we all look for. We all want to have, we all want to feel that love, we all want to feel special, feel the connections. And so, not loving myself, like I said, this all started from a teenager. I became a very lost girl that put me down a lot of paths. But it all started with not loving myself and technically not having a role model showing me what loving yourself looks like. And so after getting beat up because I didn't love myself, and I mean beat up mentally, physically, and emotionally, it came to a point where I was like, all right, this is getting ridiculous. And before you know it, the problem was loud and clear that I needed to start loving myself. And it is the hardest thing to do, especially when there's no rule book, there's no blueprint, there's no guide, there's no mentor. And if you're somebody like me that didn't quite have the best examples to live by or to go by, it can be a lot of odds against you. But that bitterness that I had towards, the opposite sex, I realized that it was literally just eating me up inside. I was the problem. I was the one who didn't know how to pick them. I was the one who didn't, demand respect when it came to the way I was treated. And when I mean demand respect, meaning walking away, not wasting your time and your energy arguing, fighting, getting all worked up and hurting yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the one allowing them to. You are the one loving that person more than you love yourself. That is why you are sitting in that situation, because you keep thinking you can help them. You care about them so much. You see the potential, whatever it is that is going through your mind that is giving you the validation that it's okay to sit there and be treated however which way. And it is horrible. It is a horrible thing. And having a good heart, especially, is the type of thing that can lead you down this road. And then that's what turns your heart cold. That's what happened to me. And that's what made me realize that I was the one allowing it. I was the one that was tormenting myself. I was the one not forgiving myself and saying, let's learn from this mistake. Let's grow from this. Let's figure out what I'm doing wrong, and let's try to fix the problem. Because obviously, in my life, it was repeating itself. It was a cycle that was repeating itself. And when you keep going through toxic, bad situations more than once, you can't help but blame yourself. I mean, how many times are you going to blame somebody else, but until you look in the mirror and you're just like, yeah, Maybe I just don't know how to pick them. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to figure out what the heck's going on inside of me as to why I'm even in this situation in the first place. And then that's what made me do a full circle about everything I had been through prior to these relationships, like my household growing up and all that. And how much it had truly affected me. How much it truly blinded me. And I mean, the last relationship I'm telling you about, this mother effer was, when I tell you manipulation, I mean manipulation. Oh, after like enough is enough. Oh, I was going to propose to you. You know what I mean? Like, just like, And when I had left him, I didn't have a car. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a bed. And my room was occupied. Like my childhood room was occupied, so I didn't even have a room to go back home to. So you can only imagine. I completely understand why you would say F men, F that, F, you know what I mean? Like, they're pieces of crap. Da, 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 da. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there that are. There is. But the thing is, there's good ones too. And you can't lose that hope. You cannot lose that hope. You want to know why I have it? After everything I went through, after going through the motions and trying to figure it out and trying to understand why I'm going through it, trying to make a positive out of a negative, you know what I'm saying? Like, trying to really turn things around by myself and on my own, but the thing also is, I just want to say, my female ex-fiance, she was like the first raw, authentic love that I've ever felt from like a human, like in that aspect. And it was a big pivotal moment in my life that really helped me when it came to my heart. And even though there was things I was trying to understand and figure out because what society says about whatever when it comes to what I'm talking about in that particular gender relationship, it literally made my heart feel like it can pump again because it was so beautiful to feel. But after everything is all said and done, when I was 16 years old, I watched my grandmother after I experienced her single my whole life, never seen her with a man up until that point. I watched her have the most beautiful fairy tale, magical love story. What I tell you, what I've been through, she had it worse. And then knowing all that, and then watching a beautiful love story, it was like watching a caterpillar go to a butterfly. It was the most beautiful thing. Because I watched a woman do it on her own for so long and hear stories about how difficult and all the above that she had to overcome. I watched her light up like I'd never seen before. And so witnessing that and looking back on all this and everything I've been through and then all the things, I also knew that there was hope regardless of the situation, because at this time when I experienced what my grandmother was going through, this beautiful love story, this was before or about the same time my first abusive relationship started. Because my first abusive relationship was in high school, and that's, yeah. Or like I was like it was 17, 18 or something. No, I had to be 18 because I went to jail. So yeah, I was, like, it was before crap really hit the fan. And so I had already experienced that before my heart went really cold. And so in the back of my mind, I always had that. When it comes back to loving yourself, if you understand and know how to, and you really understand and know how to put yourself first, which I didn't know how to, you can truly prevent yourself from ending up in these situations. And if you are putting yourself first and loving yourself and all these things, you'll understand that you don't have to have a negative outlook when it comes to men, because everything in life is going to be a negative and a positive. Everything in life is going to be majority, 90% of the time, is how you made that your reality. I picked these relationships. I allowed myself to just be treated however which way because I was trying to be nice and love them more than I loved myself. I also learned that it's pointless to have the energy, the hostility, the negativity towards men. Why? Because it's taking away from you. It's not allowing you to just pour all that into you. You don't have to put yourself on the market, You can just be like, no, thank you. I'm really trying to focus on myself. There's some things I need to work on. Whatever, and be single. Focus on yourself. Put the love into you. But you don't need to have a negative mindset outlook on it, because it's selling you short. It's telling you that you don't deserve that fairy tale. It's telling you that you don't deserve that love from somebody else. And when you pick these relationships, they definitely remind you they got a good way of telling you you're a crappy person, because they're manipulators. They want to control you. They want the power over you. Coming back to selling yourself short, you can have an apple tree with 100 apples on it, but you can pick the bad 5 apples off that tree because you were blind and you didn't realize they were bad apples until you bit into it. And you did that 5 times because you were blind. not knowing that those were the only 5 bad apples on that tree. Meaning, you have 95 other good apples to pick from, but you were blind when you picked those bad apples. Are you going to let that continue to keep you blind? Or are you going to realize that maybe you should take responsibility for everything? Understand it? Gain knowledge from it so you don't do it again? And then take off that, the blinds, and then you'll see there's 95 other good apples on that tree. It was just you were the one that was blind. You were the one that maybe jumped in too quick to a relationship. You were the one that allowed that person the benefit of the doubt too many times. Gave that person too many chances. Put your love, that beautiful heart, that beautiful love that you have within you, you put that into somebody who doesn't deserve it. Because you deserve to not have somebody take that from you. But the only way you can avoid that is if you take off those blinds. And taking off those blinds is literally making sure that you love yourself first. That was very difficult for me. I mean, I had to learn. It's taken me 30 years. I had to learn that not everybody deserves my love. Not everybody deserves my heart. I had to learn that you can only give so much to certain people. And some you shouldn't really give at all. But that only came after me putting that love in myself. And it took a long time for me to come to this understanding. Because I was, trials and tribulations. That's my life. My life literally has been trials and tribulations. And this was a key factor that put me in trials and tribulations. And I know a lot of other females out there can end up in this situation, even the ones, particularly that are younger than me. Because that was the hardest time of my life to go through. Especially when I didn't have anybody to turn to. And the ones I wanted to, they'd just make it worse. So it really was me just figuring it out myself. And if you want to learn anything from this, it all comes down to literally just pouring that love, that affection, that respect into yourself. Because when you do that, you will understand what you can bring to the table. And when you understand what you can bring to the table, you will not go to a table that ain't set for you. You're not going to settle for less than you deserve, because you can literally put what you're looking for outside of yourself into yourself. You can put the love that you wish and hope for into yourself. So you'll sit there until that person comes along, and it's just magical. That's like me. I've been single for quite some time now. And that's because I would rather work and love on myself and wait around for the right one for me than settle for less, like I did, and end up in relationships where they don't even appreciate the heart that I have. Just the heart I can bring to the table. They would rather take advantage of the heart I can bring to the table. Not the money, not anything else that I can probably bring to the table. Not The hard work, I mean, and I'm a multiplayer type person. I can do a feminine's job, I can do a masculine's job. You know what I mean? Like, I could play both sides. I can bring a lot more to the table than just a good heart. But a good heart is something that is extremely rare to find. And these people took advantage of my good heart. And I allowed them to do this. And then I also allowed them to take it from me. And when you get as far as I got, I mean, I was a cocktail waitress in a strip club and everything, you know. I got stories on bad. I mean, I got to a point where I was spitting game with men, you know. I was the wing woman. It's like, all right, who we gonna try? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, all the things. But I don't want that. That's not what the Most High wants for me either. The Most High wants me The Most High wants me to put him first. And that was the last thing I was doing. The last thing I was doing. But me putting him first, I didn't just put him first, y'all. I was putting the love within me, that Christ consciousness, bringing me to the Father, because that's the only thing that brought me to the Father. Because prior to this consciousness, I was coal. You know what I mean? Coal inside. But feeling his love, and I couldn't have felt that without diving within myself. I want you to understand that. Feeling his love is what showed me. You know, I told you my ex-fiance helped. She knocked the walls, you know, like with a pick, you know, like a ice pick, you know, just. And before you know it, she really, you know, opened up the doorway. And then before you know it, it was like, you know, the Father, he just bombarded right into me. And it was like this. You know, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like when you put me first. You don't need anybody else. You love yourself. You respect yourself. And you know what you deserve. And I'm right here with you if you need help or guidance. If you need, you know, that love that you wish you can feel from somebody else, I'm here. I'm right here while you wait for the right one. And when you can sit in that comfortably, like actually sit in that, knowing you love yourself, knowing you respect yourself, knowing the Father God is right there with you, knowing that Christ did what he did, that, you know, the Father sent his Son, did what he did, so you can find your way back to him. Because the enemy did take my heart. The enemy did have control over me. And it all comes down to letting these other individuals take from me in which they did not deserve. But I didn't realize, because I didn't even realize my own worth. I didn't love myself. I didn't realize how special I am. Just like all of you. Just like you. You are special as well. Father, he made all of us special in our own way. But he made it loud and clear to me. And he allowed me to release that anger, envy, hatred, grudgeful, all the things besides love. And why would I give anybody the benefit of the doubt at this stage, after I have elaborated, a very small aspect of my life and how I'm here, why would I let anybody try to take that from me now? I've overcome so much. But that's what I'm trying to elaborate to you, to help prevent you from having to overcome everything I overcame. Because if you can prevent it by just listening to some of these words and maybe hopefully understanding what it is I'm saying and trying to elaborate, you can hopefully, avoid a heartbreak, avoid your heart turning into coal, avoid allowing others to take from you, because you may not be realizing they're taking from you, but they are. It's on a more of a spiritual level, and it's your energy and it's your vibration, and they're draining you, and they're bringing your vibration down low, and you cannot understand this when you're caught up in it. At least I didn't. I did not understand how bad I was so caught up in it. But it all came down to not loving myself, not putting the Father God first, not even having Christ in me. Everything prior to my, you know, it's just a lot of pain and a lot of overcoming that I've had to do that I would rather you not go through. And I just see so many of these younger generations, especially on both ends, saying F this gender, F that gender, and just having all this hatred and grudge. And it all boils down to you just don't know how to pick them. And I didn't know how to pick them because I literally had daddy girl issues. Like, I am the definition of it. It's as simple as that. And I'm not afraid to admit it. Because I own. Because if you own what you go through and you accept it and you learn from it, well, first off, owning it and accepting it is how you learn from it. But I will own it. I'm not going to hide from it. Hiding from it is not going to allow you to grow. But when it comes to avoiding all the pain and all the suffering and all the trauma and all the things, don't go anywhere outside of yourself. And if you're looking for love, putting Father God first, that's where it's at. And the only way you get to the Father God is if you open up your heart. The only way to get there is to have a pure heart. And that's through Christ conscious. Christ conscious will purify you and make you new again. I did it. That's why I'm telling you. If I had all this pain and trauma and all these things inside me still, you think I'd be able to just sit right here comfortably telling you? No. But I figured it out. Because I didn't go outside of me. I did go outside of me for years. To the point where it just got so ridiculous. I said, all right. And that led me to the Father God. That led me to the Father God. But the only way I was able to get there was through opening my heart back up. Was through accepting Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. And that is love. And that's what brings you to the Father. And when you can sit comfortably in that, you can avoid a lot of these situations. A lot. Overcoming, I've had to overcome the daddy girl issues. I've had to overcome the abuse, all of it. And I could not. I absolutely could not have done it without the Most High and without Yeshua HaMashiach, without putting Christ back in my heart. And when you feel that love, you are not going to settle for anything less. Why? Why would you? When you can feel the pureness that you can get from the Most High, why on earth would you settle for somebody that talks to you, treats you, whatever the thing is, doing what it is that everybody has like their own things that they need in a relationship or look for in somebody. And if they're not needing what it is that you desire, don't keep giving them chance after chance after chance. The Father God will make that clear to you. He'll make it clear to you, like, no. No. Like, you deserve more than that. You don't deserve to settle for that. That is not who I have in store for you. But it took me like 15 years, I guess, to get to this complete conclusion. And maybe it's just something you should consider. All I can do is tell you, my testimony, bits and pieces of it. There's so much of it, it's just so hard to try to pinpoint, put it all into one video. But I'm trying to give you enough pieces to understand and hopefully connect the dots that make sense within you to maybe see what conclusion you need to come up with for your best self. Anybody that will bring you down in life, your vibration, anything, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. And that's what is making the tensions and all that stuff so high, because hurt people are hurting people. And a lot of people go through what they go through prior to becoming an adult, and that can lead into their adult life. And once it goes into their adult life, unless they haven't addressed the situation, then they're going into their adult life with trauma, pain, trying to figure out adulthood, all the things. And then you're trying to go through adulthood after you're figuring out, and then you got, it's just, it becomes too much, and to the point where it's hard to take a step back and be like, oh, I'm so caught up, I don't even love myself. I'm not even giving myself this time or energy. I'm putting whoever else before me. But when it's all said and done, people want to say that loving yourself is greedy, loving yourself is selfish. No, baby. Loving yourself is respecting yourself. If you don't love yourself, you will not be able to love anybody else. And if you do love anybody else, I would call it more like lusting, because you'll think it's love, but then you'll realize that that's why you're ending up unhappy, because you're not truly authentically loving them, because you don't even love yourself. But that was, like I said, that was my situation, because I didn't realize I was looking outside of myself. But it all comes to love is the highest vibration. And if you don't know what pure love is, like I didn't, you go down these paths. But if you look for the maker, you don't have to go down these ugly paths. You can prevent yourself from going down these ugly paths, because your maker will let you know that, hey, I'm here for you. I love you. If they don't love you, I love you. I will send you somebody that loves you, because you have faith and trust in them. Or you can take the route I took and be the one that likes to learn the hard way, be the stubborn one. You can take that route and have a lot of scars, bruises, and everything else from it, and then try to heal yourself from it. And then it all comes back to where you should have started with in the first place. But like I said, I didn't have somebody that grabbed my hand and was trying to mentor me towards down the right path. And I guess that's just what I'm trying to do here, is guide you down the path that is beneficial for you. And that is loving yourself first, for the Most High. And when you do that, that's why it's more God's glory. You know what I mean? That's because you're walking in His love. Nothing outside of that. And when you're walking in His love, you will feel His glory. And you will see what is for you and what is not for you. But if you're not walking through His eyes, through His love, you will run with the enemy. Because I ran with him too long. And that's what has led me to sit here and tell you and explain to you, and hopefully get something through to you to where you understand what it is I'm trying to prevent you from. What is the better path? What is the less bumpy path? The path that doesn't have 100 speed bumps on it. You can avoid all these speed bumps. If you know how to pour or look or search or whatever it is outside of yourself, if you know how to search for that within yourself. Because a lot of things prior, after relationships is a trauma response that you have yet to release. And that's why you see people hurting people and whatnot. And that's why you see people with these mindsets, of, but no, it's just, that's just your trauma response. Your trauma response is responding. But are you looking in the mirror to say, oh, okay, I need to figure out how to get over this trauma? Or are you pointing the finger at somebody else? Because when you finally decide to point the finger back at you, it's not that you're the problem. It's just you have some things you need to address so you can move better next time, so you can walk a better path, so you can switch the game up. There's no reason to keep beating yourself up. Because that's what I did. There's no reason to say that, horrible, 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 he's horrible, this, like that. You don't want to. I'm trying to say this a certain way. Okay, the way I look, you don't want to judge everybody that looks like me the same way. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to judge everybody that is a male the same way, because they're not all the same. And the more you can get past it, the more let me say it this way. If you don't get past it, if you don't grow from it, you're selling yourself short. And it's not fair, it's not right to you. Because you deserve the love. You deserve to find your fairy tale. Just like I told you that I experienced at 16 years old that my grandmother had. And my grandmother, who is my favorite, she's no longer with us. But she left me the most amazing grandpa. I mean, me and him are This is his. It's hanging on my mirror. It's magical. It is magical. My grandmother had the most fairy tale, but she also gave me something that I will cherish because she didn't give up. Because she kept the door open, but she also didn't put up with anybody because she knew. She had her grandkids, her kids, you know what I mean? She had a bar, that she wanted somebody to make because of all the crap she went through. She didn't want to repeat it again. And then she ended up leaving me the most amazing man I can cry because I love him that much. I love him. And that's why I tell you, it's just, you're going to sell yourself short. And you're literally only beating yourself up when you have screw men, F men. No, 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 sweetheart. Don't. No. Figure out why it is that you are saying that. Because you have a grandfather, you have a father, you have an uncle, you have a nephew, you're going to have a son maybe one day. All the things. It's a full circle. Don't lose hope. But also make sure that you're loving yourself. If the right person hasn't came along, just like for me, I'm not losing hope, and the right person hasn't came along, and I don't have a good dating life. I'm not on social media like that, and all the things. I don't. I'm in a small town, all the things, but I'm not going to lose hope. The devil wants me to, but I'm not going to allow it. And I'm not going to allow him to take from me. And that's the mentality that I want you to have. I want you to say, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. I know what I deserve. I'm going to love myself until somebody can come along and love me the way I deserve. And you can easily, politely say to, a guy, no, thank you. I'm not interested. No, thank you. I'm not interested. But if you allow yourself to end up in situations and then have a horrible mentality on it because you're the one that put yourself there in the first place, you're selling yourself short. And it's okay to make mistakes. We're all human. That's the whole point. That's the whole name of the game. Make the mistake, learn from it, grow from it. Don't beat yourself up over it. And don't let it consume you. I haven't had the best experiences with guys, but like I said, my favorite person came into, one of the favorite men. Well, he is, my other grandfather is passed away, but he is my favorite man. Man. My nephew's, young man. But he is my favorite man. And I didn't get him until I was 16. But if my grandmother never gave up, if she never kept her heart opened after what she had been through, I would not have a grandfather right now. I only had one grandfather growing up. And he passed away in 2015. But now I have the man that my grandmother was able to leave as she passed. And he claims me as his granddaughter like there's no tomorrow. It doesn't matter if we're blood or not. It does not matter. And what I saw my grandmother go through is not something I want you to go through either. So understanding how to love yourself and pour it all into you can prevent yourself from going down these roads. And it's not selfish. And that is the conclusion I have come up with after almost an hour of trying to explain to you some of the situations I've been through. So I just don't let the bad fish overrun the good fish. Don't lose hope. Don't go out having a horrible outlook on the opposite gender like I did, because it's a waste of time, and all it does is take from you. All it does is drain you, and it's a lot more than you may realize right now. But if you're going through it, just know you got this. You can overcome it. Take a step back and love yourself. Meet your maker. Bring him into your heart. Open your heart back up. That is the only way to go through life, is to keep your heart open. And the only way and the only reason that you close it is because of what you've been through, what you've experienced that you have not let go, whether it be conscious or subconscious. But it's not right on you to allow yourself to be held down by it. We all deserve the best. And a lot of people just haven't done the work on what they've been through. And that's why a lot of people act, talk, whatever the way they do, is because they're hurt. And hurt people hurt people. And if you want to break that cycle of being hurt, you gotta love yourself. It is the most rewarding thing ever. And nobody else is going to do it, right? Or at least not the way you want. Unless you actually, truly, purely love yourself for who you are and all the above. Don't hold on to any negative aspect in life. Even though I'm particular talking about guys right now, the opposite sex. But don't do it. All it does is bring you down, sell yourself short, and prolong what could be. It is just holding you back that much more from what you deserve. Because we all deserve love, right? But we have to love ourselves first. Because if we don't know how to do that, we don't know what it feels like. And therefore, we end up in these situations. At least for me, that is. Like I said, just talking from personal experiences here, but it's been an hour, 58 minutes and 8 seconds, and I can't believe I even went on this long. I really hope it helped you, though. I really hope you can gain something from it, though. Just avoid, a very ugly, dark path. I already went through it. I've experienced it. And please take something from this to where you can make that path a lot shorter. Because I was just so lost and confused and hurt and felt so betrayed. And like I said, I didn't have a mentor necessarily. I didn't have somebody to show me and express to me and elaborate to me. So I hope this reaches and helps whoever it can reach and help. If that even made any sense. I hope this reaches who it's meant to help. Just know you are worthy and you don't deserve to be treated any less than. Everybody deserves love. But it all comes from within. And that is with the consciousness of Christ, thanks to the Most High. Very simple. All right. I love y'all.